Last year, the Needham School Committee updated the Needham High School handbook to address chronic absenteeism. At its meeting on March 3rd, Needham High School Principal Aaron Seacott and Vice Principal Mary Kay Alessi presented an update on the high school's attendance and course credit data collected so far this school year. Municipal producer Melissa Marchese has more.
The current attendance and credit loss policy from the 2025-2026 school year at NHS requires that students who have excessive unexcused absences in a specific course will lose credit in that course. Students do have the chance to earn back those lost credits in the following term. Credit cannot be regained if lost during the fourth term. Principal Seacott and Vice Principal Alessi shared the absentee data from the first half of the school year. They noted that the data is incomplete and will likely change at the end of the year once students have the opportunity to make up lost credit.
One of the areas we're particularly aware of, and I know we've talked about in this group, is how our subgroups are performing as far as their attendance and the impact potentially on credit loss. I mean, as you can see from this particular slide, it's a little bit mixed in terms of the progress that we're making. The green is the population percentage for that particular group. So ideally, the lines to the left would be very similar to that green line, and there is variation in a number of cases, with some of our subgroups actually being represented more than their demographic representation, which means they're being impacted more than really they ought to be. Many of our subgroups are small enough that small changes in numbers, a handful of students, can shift the data considerably. The reality for some of our subgroups is Needham High School, as strong as it is, can be challenging at times, and the data is a reflection of that rather than a reflection of a policy specifically. The policy is still a sound policy that is designed to keep kids in school as they ought to be, and the information here is continuing to highlight that we've got more work to do within the school community to make sure that we're supporting the students who are in some of our subgroups, even as we continue to make some progress.
They continued to explain why some data was particularly skewed.
So you can see our numbers really, they're not necessarily getting better in terms of total number of classes missed, but you'll notice that the number of absences per student has actually gone up. And in looking at some of the data, I really attribute that to some particularly aggressive situations that we have with a few students who really have significant attendance issues. So that really has kind of skewed the numbers.
Honestly, the biggest category for us is students who are struggling with mental health related issues. And that's why the IEP numbers and the 504 numbers are much, much higher than they ought to be, because those students have had an identified concern that they're dealing with, or disability, that is preventing them from coming to school, and then they don't come to school, and we see high numbers as a result. So that's, I think, the biggest category by far. And those are also the students, as Mary Kay said, that kind of skew our data because they're missing a lot of time. It's not just they're missing just enough to lose a credit here or there. They're missing significant portions.
The available data shows a similar number of absences under the new policy, but students are taking advantage of the opportunity to regain credit. School Committee Chair Michael O'Brien wanted to know if there were any areas where the administration was seeing success in the subgroups from the policy standpoint. Yeah,
I think there are a couple different areas that we're excited about. Our work with our EL population, I think, is a success, and that, again, the data doesn't always show that because it's a small enough group that one student when student struggles can present data that looks concerning when the reality is we're making some real progress. One of the key things about any sort of academic environment and attendance around it is making sure that kids have an excitement to be there. We're seeing that, and just with that one population as an example, but I think true for many others as well.
Even with these successes, there are still concerns about the inequity that is being shown in the data for these subgroups, with school committee member Matthew Spengler giving a statement on the matter.
I would say, however, our responsibility as a school committee is not just to set expectations, but is to ensure that our policies produce fair and equitable and sound outcomes. And I think it's fair to say that for the last 2+ years, the data show that Black students and students from low-income households are losing credits at rates higher than their representation in our student body. We saw that again with the data tonight. That should concern all of us. Even though the policy is neutral in design, its impact is disproportionately affecting certain student groups, and thus we have an equity issue.
For the Needham Channel News, I'm Melissa Marchese.